The alien queen exclaimed, "Impossible." Humans were far stronger than she expected. The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly, silent and cold. But it was far from empty. In the black void, the Xylarian armada glided like a swarm of deadly predators. Their silver ships reflected starlight in sharp, intimidating angles, moving with precision that only centuries of conquest could perfect. At the center of the fleet floated the grandest ship of them all, the flagship of Queen Xelara, a living fusion of alien technology and bioengineered life. Her massive eyes scanned the planets ahead, lingering on the bright blue dot that was Earth. "Prepare for the initial assessment," Xelara commanded, her voice echoing inside the telepathic network that connected her generals. Her tone was calm, almost bored, as if she were ordering a minor inconvenience, not the invasion of a species. "They are primitive. Their defenses are weak. We will subdue them swiftly." The generals, towering and fearsome in their own right, nodded in synchronized agreement. They had been told the same story for decades. Humans were weak, fragile, insignificant. Their reports confirmed it. Earth was filled with creatures still struggling to harness energy from their sun. Creatures that destroyed each other with primitive weapons. Creatures who could barely survive on a single planet, let alone think of conquering the stars. But none of them had seen humans in action. None had anticipated the spirit that simmered beneath their fragile bodies. On Earth, no one noticed the approaching fleet. Humanity was distracted, preoccupied with its own conflicts. Political disputes, environmental crises, and technological races dominated news channels. Cities bustled, unaware that a storm far greater than any natural disaster was nearing. Yet not all humans were blind to the universe beyond. In the frozen lands of Antarctica, a team of scientists worked tirelessly, uncovering mysteries hidden beneath layers of ice for millennia. Dr. Elias Harper, a retired astronaut and engineer, was among them. He had returned from space years ago, haunted by experiences that no one else could understand. He was drawn to the unknown, driven by curiosity and the hope of discovery. On this expedition, his team had stumbled upon an anomaly, a dark shape buried deep under the ice, radiating a strange, low-frequency energy. It was unlike anything they had seen, metallic yet organic, almost alive in the way it pulsed. Harper's heart raced as he carefully examined the object. It was a probe, ancient and advanced, clearly not of human origin. Its surface shimmered under the pale Antarctic sun, covered with intricate alien markings that seemed to shift when observed closely. He felt a strange resonance when he touched it, as if it were aware of his presence. "This isn't just technology," Harper murmured to his assistant. "It's a message or a test, maybe both." The probe activated unexpectedly, sending a burst of energy that illuminated the ice cavern. Data streamed into their devices, revealing glimpses of alien architecture, star maps, and tactical schematics that made Harper's mind race. This was more than just a probe. It was a fragment of a civilization that had mastered the stars, one that could wipe humanity off the map in an instant. Meanwhile, above the planet, the Xylarian scouts began their initial maneuvers. Small ships darted through the atmosphere, observing major cities, testing defenses, and transmitting data back to the fleet. They expected easy victories. Humans would scatter, cower, or surrender. What they found instead was astonishing. Humanity fought back, not with advanced weapons, but with ingenuity. A small military unit in the Nevada desert noticed one of the scouts attempting to land. Using improvised devices, they created an electromagnetic pulse from repurposed communication satellites. The scout malfunctioned, crashing into the desert sands. Civilians who witnessed it called it a miracle, but Harper recognized it for what it was: humanity's first defiance against a superior force. Across the globe, similar incidents unfolded. In Japan, engineers converted high-speed trains into barricades and distraction devices. In Europe, drone hobbyists hacked their devices to intercept alien transmissions. Every time the aliens tried a straightforward attack, humans found a way to resist, often in ways that no strategy manual could predict. Xelara watched all of this with growing irritation. She had expected weakness, simplicity, and surrender. Instead, she saw humans adapting, learning, and fighting back with a ferocity that shocked her. She could not comprehend how such small, seemingly fragile creatures could display such tactical brilliance. "They are unpredictable," she admitted to herself, a hint of unease creeping into her tone. Every move I anticipate, they counter with something unimaginable. Back in Antarctica, Harper and his team worked feverishly. The probe responded to their attempts to analyze it, revealing hidden compartments and interfaces. It was as if it wanted them to understand it, to unlock its potential. Harper realized that if humanity could harness even a fraction of this technology, they might have a fighting chance. But the stakes were enormous. Failure meant annihilation. As the day turned to night, and the Antarctic sky shimmered with auroras, Harper felt a weight settle over him. The probe's light cast shadows across the ice, and he imagined the alien ships already in orbit, preparing their assault. He thought of the people he loved, of cities he had visited, of children running through parks, completely unaware of the storm above them. And he felt a strange, rising determination. Humanity might be fragile, but it was also relentless. It refused to surrender. In cities around the world, ordinary people began to notice strange phenomena. Satellites disappearing, power grids flickering, and unexplained flashes of light in the sky. Social media buzzed with confusion and fear. Governments scrambled to respond, but they were unprepared for the scale and precision of the alien scouting operations. Still, human creativity flourished under pressure. Engineers, students, soldiers, and civilians collaborated in ways that had never happened before. Makeshift defenses were built, alternative communication networks were established, and secret plans were drafted to counter the invisible threat. In one remote village in Africa, children discovered an alien probe buried beneath the soil. Instead of panicking, they experimented with it, unwittingly discovering principles that scientists in top laboratories were only beginning to understand. Across the oceans, fishermen reported lights moving in impossible patterns, their nets capturing fragments of alien material that resisted explanation. Humanity's ingenuity emerged not from military might alone, but from curiosity, collaboration, and relentless problem-solving. Zelara, observing all of this from her throne aboard the flagship, felt a mix of fascination and frustration. Her species had conquered countless worlds, obliterated civilizations, and subdued intelligent races without effort. Yet humans were different. Their ability to adapt, to learn instantly from experience, and to fight against overwhelming odds was unprecedented. "This cannot be," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "They are stronger than I ever imagined." Harper, unaware of Zelara's acknowledgement, continued to study the probe. He discovered a hidden interface, a holographic display that revealed not just alien technology, but the very strategies of the Zalarian Empire. It showed potential attack patterns, weaknesses in alien defenses, and methods to counteract their energy weapons. Harper realized that humans had a chance, not just to survive, but to resist, to fight back, and to show the universe that even a small, seemingly fragile species could defy the odds. As the night deepened, the probe pulsed gently, as if acknowledging Harper's determination. Humanity was awakening to the threat above them, and for the first time they had a glimpse of what they could become. It was the spark of hope, a tiny flame in the vast darkness, but it was enough to challenge the impossible. Far above, the Zalarian fleet continued to maneuver, their eyes fixed on Earth. Queen Zelara, once confident of victory, now stared at the screens showing human defenses. Each intercepted communication, each counterattack, each display of ingenuity chipped away at her certainty. She had faced countless species, countless rebellions, countless wars, and yet never had she encountered beings that refused to bend so easily. In that moment, a simple truth became undeniable. Humanity was not weak. They were resilient, resourceful, and unyielding. The war that Zelara had expected to be a swift conquest would be far more challenging than she had ever imagined. And somewhere deep in her mind, a seed of doubt took root, a warning that the humans, small and fragile as they appeared, might not only survive but thrive against her empire. And so the stage was set. The first contact had been made. The aliens had underestimated their opponents, and humans, led by curiosity, courage, and the spark of defiance, were ready to meet the storm. In the frozen wilderness of Antarctica, Dr. Elias Harper stared at the alien probe, knowing that the battle for Earth had begun, and that humanity, against all odds, might just show the universe the meaning of true strength. The first signs of the invasion had shaken the world. Governments scrambled to respond, but their usual systems of control were useless against an enemy no one had ever faced. Satellites blinked out of orbit, strange signals interfered with communications, and reconnaissance aircraft vanished without a trace. Panic spread in the cities, but in the chaos, humanity began to show its true nature, not weakness, but resourcefulness. Dr. Elias Harper worked tirelessly with a team of scientists, engineers, and former military officers. Using the alien probe recovered from Antarctica, they began to understand some of the Zalarian technology. Harper had discovered a way to partially intercept alien communications, giving humanity a glimpse into the invaders' strategies. The probe, though alien and complex, responded to human logic in unexpected ways, almost as if it recognized the determination of those trying to understand it. "Every species has weaknesses," Harper said one evening to his team. "We just have to find theirs before they find ours." Across the globe, ordinary people began to rise to the challenge. In New York, construction workers used cranes, trucks, and steel beams to block streets and create obstacles for alien scout vehicles. In rural India, farmers modified tractors and irrigation pumps into impromptu defense machines. Even children played a role, their curiosity turning into innovation, helping adults understand patterns in alien behavior. The first direct encounter occurred over the Nevada desert. A Zalarian scout ship descended silently, its silver surface glinting in the harsh sunlight. It moved with speed and precision, scanning the ground for resistance. The U.S. military scrambled jets to intercept, but conventional weapons had little effect. Explosives bounced harmlessly off the alien shields, and energy beams sliced through armor with terrifying efficiency. Harper and his team, observing from a nearby command center, realized that traditional attacks would fail. Instead, they suggested using unconventional methods. Local engineers and drone operators hacked together a crude electromagnetic pulse device, using scavenged satellites and emergency power systems. It was dangerous. Any miscalculation could destroy the equipment and the people nearby, but they had no other choice. As the pulse fired, the alien scout convulsed and fell from the sky, crashing into the desert sands. Soldiers and engineers rushed to the site cautiously, afraid of hidden traps, but the ship lay disabled. It was humanity's first tangible victory, small but monumental. News of the event spread quickly, inspiring others around the world. People began to see that the aliens were not invincible, and that human creativity could counter technology far beyond their own. Meanwhile, Queen Zelara observed the event from her flagship. She could not hide her surprise. They can fight back," she whispered, her voice a mixture of annoyance and disbelief. "I underestimated them." The alien fleet continued to monitor Earth, sending more scouts and minor warships to test defenses. Each time, humans adapted. In Japan, engineers transformed high-speed trains into moving barricades to divert enemy attacks. In Europe, drone enthusiasts repurposed civilian drones to intercept alien signals and jam their weapons. In South America, villagers lured scouts into the dense rainforests, using traps and camouflaged nets to disable the smaller ships. Every time the aliens attempted to strike with precision, humans found an unpredictable response, using terrain, improvisation, and sheer boldness. It was not just military strategy that made humans strong. Civilians across the globe began sharing information freely, creating networks of intelligence that the aliens could not predict. Amateur astronomers tracked alien movements and sent their data to scientists. Engineers in garages and workshops built devices that interfered with alien sensors. Ordinary humans, motivated by survival and pride, became part of a global resistance. The Zalarian fleet, designed to dominate, found itself facing an enemy that could adapt, improvise, and learn faster than expected. Dr. Harper realized that humans' greatest strength was not their weapons, but their ability to think in ways the aliens could not. While the Zalarian tactics relied on overwhelming force, humans used unpredictability. They improvised, taking advantage of alien weaknesses discovered through observation and experimentation. Small victories began to accumulate, and with each one, humanity's confidence grew. In the skies above Europe, a squadron of pilots attempted a direct assault on a minor Zalarian warship. They had no chance in a conventional battle, but the pilots had a plan. Using knowledge gained from Harper's probe, they predicted the ship's flight patterns and shield limitations. With precision and daring, they guided their jets into a narrow canyon, forcing the alien ship to follow. Once inside, hidden explosives detonated, collapsing the canyon walls and trapping the alien vessel. The pilots escaped by the narrowest of margins. Queen Zellara watched the broadcast of the attack, her massive eyes narrowing. "Impossible!" she exclaimed, shaking her head. "They are far stronger than I anticipated. How can creatures so small, so fragile, defy my will at every turn?" Her generals exchanged uneasy glances. They had never seen such resilience. Never. And yet here it was, on a small blue planet, with humans standing firm against the greatest armada they had ever commanded. The alien queen decided to escalate. She deployed elite units, genetically engineered warriors designed to crush resistance without hesitation. She sent monstrous creatures capable of tearing through metal and flesh alike. These elite forces were meant to intimidate, to make humans surrender. But the humans adapted again. Communities worked together, combining military tactics with local ingenuity. They used terrain, improvised traps, and unexpected counterattacks. Every attack that Zellara expected to succeed failed, and every victory humans achieved strengthened their resolve. In one small city in Africa, a team of civilians used old shipping containers to create a maze-like defense system. When an elite Zellarian unit attacked, they were funneled into narrow passages where their size became a disadvantage. Humans used flamethrowers, electrified nets, and explosives to neutralize them. News of this victory spread like wildfire, inspiring other communities to take similar action. Back in Antarctica, Harper made a crucial discovery. By studying the alien probe, he found a way to temporarily disable alien shields using electromagnetic resonance. It was experimental and risky, but it offered humanity a chance to level the playing field. He shared the information with military leaders, who quickly began testing prototypes. Every small success built confidence and demonstrated a fundamental truth. Humans were capable of overcoming obstacles that seemed insurmountable. The world was changing. Fear still existed, but it was accompanied by courage and determination. Ordinary people became heroes, and ordinary heroes became legends. The alien scouts continued to underestimate them, believing their advanced technology guaranteed victory. But humans proved time and again that spirit, ingenuity, and courage could triumph over even the most powerful machines. Queen Zellara could not understand it. She had seen countless civilizations crumble beneath her forces, yet humanity refused to yield. Every calculated strike was met with an unpredictable response. Every strategy she deployed was countered by adaptation, by thinking outside the rules of war. She realized with growing alarm that humans did not follow patterns that her empire could easily predict. They were chaotic, resourceful, and relentless in a way that defied logic. And yet, despite the chaos, Harper and his team continued their work. They developed new weapons, new defense systems, and strategies that combined human intuition with alien technology. The global network of civilians, scientists, and soldiers worked together seamlessly, sharing information and learning from each encounter. Humanity's response became a force of nature, impossible to ignore or underestimate. In the skies above Earth, the alien fleet began to falter. Minor warships were disabled, scouts were captured, and elite units were repelled. The Zellarian command structure struggled to adapt. Queen Zellara, once supremely confident, now faced the reality that her empire could be challenged. And she began to feel something she had never experienced before, respect for a species she had deemed inferior. "This is not weakness," she whispered, almost to herself. This is strength." Humans, meanwhile, continued to rise. They scavenged, they adapted, they learned. Every small victory became a lesson, and every lesson became a weapon. Communities that had once been ordinary and disconnected now functioned as a global network of resistance. The world was no longer defenseless. It was alive with ingenuity, courage, and unyielding determination. The first encounters had ended, but the battle was far from over. Humanity had proven that it could fight back against the Zellarian invaders. They had shown that even a species considered primitive could challenge the might of a galactic empire. And they had done it not with overwhelming firepower, but with creativity, courage, and an unbreakable spirit. Queen Zellara stared at Earth, the small blue planet alive with defiance. Her mind raced as she considered her next move. The humans were far stronger than she had imagined. They had adapted, learned, and fought back in ways that her empire had never encountered. And deep within her, a new realization began to take shape. The conquest of Earth would not be swift nor simple. It would require more than technology. It would require understanding, strategy, and an acknowledgement that humans, though small, were not to be underestimated. And so, the stage was set for the next phase. The Zalarian Empire had met its match, and humanity, against all odds, had taken its first steps toward proving that the spirit of a single species could stand against the greatest threats in the universe. The fight had begun, and the humans, small yet unyielding, were ready to show the cosmos the meaning of true strength. The early victories had given humanity hope, but they were only the beginning. Across the world, people were learning to fight back against an enemy they had never imagined, and yet, every day brought new challenges. The Zalarian Empire was not a force that gave up easily. Queen Zelara, furious and humiliated by human resistance, began deploying more advanced strategies. She sent specialized units, built from a fusion of alien genetics and technology, to test human defenses. These units were designed to think faster, strike harder, and adapt to human tactics. But humans were no longer ordinary. The first encounters had taught them lessons in improvisation, strategy, and unity. Dr. Elias Harper and his team worked tirelessly in underground laboratories, using data from the alien probe to study Zalarian biology and technology. They had already discovered the weaknesses of the scouts, shields, and some vulnerabilities in their energy weapons. Each discovery allowed humanity to adapt and prepare, turning fear into a powerful weapon of determination. In the mountains of South America, villagers and scientists collaborated to build a complex network of traps and defensive systems. Using natural terrain, they created channels and pits that would guide alien forces into vulnerable positions. Simple materials were transformed into deadly tools, nets lined with conductive metals, rocks rigged with explosives, and decoys that tricked alien sensors. Every detail was designed to exploit the Zalarian reliance on precision and predictability. Harper monitored their efforts through satellite feeds, coordinating communications and sharing strategies with other resistance groups. "They are strong, yes, but not invincible," he said to his team one night, staring at the flickering holographic map of Earth. "We just need to be clever. We need to be faster, smarter, and relentless." In the deserts of Nevada, a human strike team prepared for a daring assault on a minor Zalarian warship. Using Harper's insights, they knew the vessel relied heavily on automated targeting systems. The humans set up a series of electromagnetic devices to interfere with the ship's sensors. At the same time, fighter pilots were ready to distract the ship with rapid maneuvers. Timing was critical. One misstep could mean total destruction. The battle was brutal. Explosions lit the desert night, and the alien ship retaliated with energy beams that carved trenches into the earth. Yet, the humans adapted in real time, using cover, diversions, and improvised weapons to counter the alien technology. After hours of maneuvering, the strike team succeeded in disabling the ship's main systems. The vessel fell to the desert floor, and the humans, though battered and exhausted, had claimed another victory. Queen Zelara's frustration grew. She had commanded countless conquests, and yet the humans continued to defy expectations. Every time she thought she had found the solution, humanity countered in ways she had not predicted. "They learn too quickly," she told her generals. "Every strategy we devise is matched, and every trap we set is broken. How can creatures so small, so primitive, possess such resilience?" Meanwhile, in Europe, a team of engineers and civilians discovered a pattern in the aliens' energy transmission. By carefully analyzing intercepted signals, they found a resonance frequency that temporarily disabled shields on Zalarian war machines. It was a breakthrough. Small units armed with this knowledge began to plan coordinated strikes, using timing and ingenuity rather than brute force. This strategy allowed humans to strike alien units that had once seemed untouchable, turning the tide in small but critical ways. In Asia, Harper's team successfully reverse-engineered a portion of the Zalarian probe. They discovered that it contained advanced algorithms capable of predicting enemy movements. By studying the code, humans could anticipate alien maneuvers and exploit them. Harper realized that this technology could be humanity's greatest advantage. If they could integrate it into their defenses, they could plan attacks that the aliens could not foresee, turning every engagement into an opportunity rather than a threat. The morale of humanity soared. Ordinary people were performing extraordinary acts. Farmers rigged improvised bombs to disable small alien vehicles. Students hacked alien systems to redirect their drones. Pilots executed daring aerial maneuvers to distract warships while engineers set up traps on the ground. The world was no longer waiting to be conquered. It was fighting back, united in purpose and ingenuity. In one city in Africa, a coordinated effort between civilians and military units successfully repelled an elite Zalarian assault. The aliens, genetically enhanced and armed with advanced weapons, had expected an easy victory, but humans had used every resource at their disposal. They lured the invaders into narrow streets lined with hidden traps, where the aliens' size and strength became disadvantages. Electric nets, controlled explosions, and well-timed attacks turned the battle into a human victory. The survivors celebrated, and news of the event spread quickly, inspiring other communities to act boldly. Queen Zelara, observing these events, began to reconsider her approach. Her arrogance had been shattered by the humans' unpredictability. She realized that overwhelming force alone would not win this war. It would take careful planning, adaptation, and perhaps even a different perspective to overcome a species that refused to be dominated. Her generals, who had always followed orders without question, began to murmur concerns. They had never seen an enemy that could adapt and learn as quickly as these humans. Meanwhile, Harper and his team devised a bold plan. Using the probe's technology, they created a prototype weapon capable of temporarily disabling alien energy shields over a wide area. It was risky, as deploying it required getting close to the enemy and precise timing. But if it worked, it could allow human forces to strike directly at alien warships, turning even small engagements into decisive victories. The first test of this weapon took place over the Siberian tundra. Human strike teams lured a Xylarian warship into a narrow valley. As the ship descended, the device activated, emitting a pulse that disrupted the alien shields. Energy beams failed to fire, and the humans seized the opportunity. Explosives planted along the valley walls detonated, damaging the ship's propulsion systems. The alien vessel crashed, sending shockwaves across the snow-covered landscape. Harper and his team monitored the event with exhilaration. Humanity had found a way to fight evenly against the superior alien forces. The implications were profound. Every victory, every discovery, strengthened humanity's resolve. They were no longer just defending their cities. They were learning to fight like a species capable of challenging a galactic empire. And in doing so, they were proving something fundamental. Intelligence, creativity, and courage could rival even the most advanced technology. In the shadows of a destroyed alien scout ship, civilians and soldiers worked side by side, recovering alien materials and studying them for future use. Children helped sort components, engineers dissected weapons, and military officers tested strategies. Every action, no matter how small, contributed to the growing strength of humanity. Queen Zelara could feel the shift. Humanity was not yielding. They were not fragile, and they were not predictable. Every small victory against her forces undermined her authority and forced her to reconsider the rules of engagement. For the first time in her life, she realized that she might not be able to control the outcome with power alone. She would need strategy, caution, and perhaps even respect for the tenacity of her opponent. Harper, unaware of Zelara's thoughts, continued to push the boundaries of human ingenuity. He coordinated with teams across continents, sharing discoveries and tactics. Humans were learning faster than the aliens could adapt, and each lesson became a weapon. Improvised traps, reverse-engineered technology, and coordinated strikes turned the tide of small battles into a momentum that the Xylarian fleet could not ignore. The world was changing. Fear still lingered, but it was accompanied by courage, innovation, and determination. Ordinary people were performing extraordinary feats, proving that intelligence, adaptability, and bravery were the true measures of strength. Humanity was not only surviving, it was learning to thrive, even against an enemy designed to dominate entire worlds. In a final observation of the day's events, Harper looked at the holographic map showing human victories across the globe. Cities that had once been threatened now stood resilient. Communities that had been isolated were communicating and coordinating like never before. Small victories had multiplied into a global movement. And above all, the humans had done something extraordinary. They had forced the Zalarian Empire to pause, to rethink, and to recognize that conquest would not be easy. Queen Zelara, who had expected obedience and surrender, was now facing an enemy that could match her intelligence with ingenuity, her power with adaptability, and her confidence with unwavering courage. In that moment, Harper felt a sense of pride. Humanity had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could fight back. The Zalarian Empire might have assumed victory was inevitable, but humans had shown that spirit, resourcefulness, and determination could turn the tide. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, humanity had reason to believe they could win. The stage was set for greater confrontations, bolder strategies, and the ultimate test of human ingenuity. The Zalarian Empire had met its match, not in brute force, but in creativity, courage, and an unyielding spirit. Humanity had discovered its strength, and the galaxy was about to witness that the smallest species could rise to face even the greatest of threats. The alien queen had grown restless. Every encounter with humans had forced her to reconsider what she had believed about strength, power, and conquest. Her fleet, once a perfectly coordinated machine, now moved cautiously, wary of traps and counterattacks at every turn. Zalara's eyes, sharp and unyielding, scanned Earth from orbit, and she realized that humanity was far more than a minor nuisance. They were organized, clever, and unafraid of her overwhelming power. "This species they are impossible to predict," she said to her generals, her voice echoing with both frustration and awe. "Every strategy I devise is countered, every trap I set is neutralized. They are not weak, they are relentless." Her generals, massive and intimidating, shifted uneasily. They had faced countless species, but never had one matched or outwitted them with such frequency. Zelara, unwilling to waste time, decided to take matters into her own hands. She would lead the next assault herself, bringing her biomechanical warship into Earth's atmosphere. This vessel was unlike anything humans had seen. Towering, covered with alien armor, and bristling with energy weapons and monstrous defenses. It was designed not only to destroy, but to dominate, a living embodiment of the Zalarian will. On Earth, Dr. Elias Harper watched the approaching fleet with a mixture of apprehension and determination. Humanity had grown stronger, but the threat was far greater now. The small victories, the clever tactics, the improvised weapons, they were all tests leading to this moment. Every community had prepared in some way, converting factories into workshops, warehouses into command centers, and schools into hospitals. The planet had become a battlefield, but humanity refused to surrender. In the skies above Europe, humans executed coordinated strikes against incoming Zalarian warships. Fighter pilots dove through narrow mountain passes, avoiding energy beams and flanking the alien ships with speed and agility. Ground teams used EMP devices, explosives, and improvised railguns to disable smaller crafts. Every move was calculated but also bold. Humanity had learned to act unpredictably, turning their greatest weakness into strength. The first wave of Zalarian attacks was devastating, yet it revealed one undeniable truth: humans adapted faster than the aliens anticipated. Even in cities under direct assault, ordinary people improvised in ways the invaders could not predict. Bridges were destroyed to funnel enemy units into traps. Rooftops were used to launch surprise attacks. Makeshift armored vehicles blocked corridors, while hidden electric nets and explosives slowed the advance of genetically enhanced soldiers. Harper, coordinating multiple resistance cells from a command hub in a converted underground facility, realized that the humans' greatest weapon was not technology alone, but their unity and ingenuity. He spoke over the communications network, his voice calm but urgent. "Remember, they expect fear, they expect hesitation. We will give them neither. Use your knowledge, your surroundings, and your courage. Today we fight not just for survival, but for every human life that has ever been threatened. We are stronger than they think." In the mountains of Asia, a small team of engineers and soldiers set a daring trap. They had rigged a canyon with explosives and created decoys that would attract Zalarian scouts. When the elite units arrived, expecting an easy victory, they were caught in a deadly ambush. The canyon exploded in a controlled cascade, disabling the war machines and scattering the invaders. It was another victory, but it came at a cost. The humans mourned those lost, yet their determination only grew stronger. Queen Zelera watched the broadcasts of these victories, her disbelief growing. "Impossible," she whispered. "Creatures so small, so fragile defy me at every turn. How can they possess such courage, such ingenuity?" Her generals, used to her unwavering confidence, looked at her with concern. For the first time, Zelera felt doubt, not about the humans, but about her own ability to conquer them. Meanwhile, in North America, Harper's team activated a prototype weapon capable of temporarily disabling the shields of Zelarian warships. The device emitted a pulse that caused the alien ships' energy fields to flicker and fail, leaving them vulnerable. Human forces attacked immediately, targeting engines and weapon systems with precise strikes. One by one, the alien warships fell, not to superior firepower, but to timing, intelligence, and coordination. Across Africa, communities that had once been isolated now acted in unison. Villages and cities connected through secure communication networks, sharing strategies and intelligence. The humans' adaptability became a force multiplier, allowing them to fight as one coordinated species rather than scattered individuals. Traps, diversions, and clever maneuvers made every engagement unpredictable, keeping the Zelarian forces off balance. Even in South America, the human spirit shone brightly. Engineers converted cargo drones into attack devices, using swarms to distract and disable alien sensors. Civilians reinforced barricades and created safe corridors for evacuation. Students and researchers used alien technology captured in earlier skirmishes to develop improvised weapons. Every person, in some way, became a warrior. Zelera, unable to ignore the humans' relentless progress, decided to confront them personally. She entered Earth's atmosphere aboard her massive flagship, a vessel so large it cast a shadow over entire cities. Its biomechanical surface writhed as if alive, energy weapons glinting with lethal precision. The skies around the ship crackled with power, and every human force that had once seemed sufficient to fight smaller units now looked minuscule in comparison. But humans were not afraid. From the deserts of Nevada to the mountains of Europe, from the jungles of South America to the frozen expanses of Antarctica, humanity stood ready. Pilots, soldiers, and civilians coordinated their movements, creating a dynamic battlefield that no alien machine could easily predict. Harper's instructions guided the efforts, but the humans' creativity ensured that every plan could be adjusted in real time. The first strike against Zelera's flagship was daring and unexpected. Using captured alien technology, Harper's team projected a false energy signature, tricking the ship's targeting systems. Fighter pilots dove through a canyon, drawing the flagship's weapons fire, while ground teams prepared synchronized attacks. Explosives, EMP devices, and high-velocity projectiles struck in unison, exploiting even the smallest vulnerabilities in the alien warship. The flagship recoiled under the assault, and Zelera realized that raw power alone would not win this battle. Humans had turned every disadvantage into opportunity. Every unpredictable move, every clever tactic, was undermining the might of her empire. She had expected surrender, but what she faced instead was resistance on a scale she had never imagined. In the chaos of the battle, Harper and a small team infiltrated a portion of the flagship using captured alien shuttles. They navigated through corridors filled with alien technology, using their knowledge of the ship's systems to avoid detection. Every step was dangerous. One mistake could mean instant death. Yet they pressed forward, driven by the same determination that had carried humanity through countless battles. Inside the flagship, they planted devices that disrupted power flow and disabled weapon systems. The ship shuddered under the assault, and energy beams faltered, leaving sections of the vessel exposed. The humans had turned strategy, courage, and intelligence into weapons as deadly as any energy cannon. On the surface, humans continued to fight with unyielding determination. Civilians guided military units to strategic locations, improvised defenses, and rescued those trapped in the chaos. Pilots executed daring maneuvers to distract alien forces, while engineers modified captured technology to exploit weaknesses in enemy armor. Every action reinforced the lesson that human ingenuity could challenge even the most advanced alien designs. Queen Zelara, now facing the consequences of her underestimation, realized that her species' greatest strength, their technology, was being turned against them. Humans were not just surviving, they were thriving under pressure, adapting faster than the Zalarian command could anticipate. Her frustration mingled with awe. "This is impossible," she admitted aloud. "They are far stronger than I ever imagined." Her generals, who had once believed in the inevitability of conquest, now hesitated. The humans' unpredictable strategies had forced the aliens into reactive positions, giving Earth a fighting chance unlike any other planet had ever experienced. Despite the damage, Zelara remained a formidable opponent. Her ship's weapons began to recover, and her biomechanical units adapted to human tactics. Yet the humans, undeterred, pressed on. Each new strategy, each calculated risk, further destabilized the alien assault. The battle became a test not of firepower alone, but of intelligence, creativity, and spirit. As the day turned to night, the humans' coordinated attacks began to pay off. Sections of the flagship were critically damaged, and its ability to project power diminished. Pilots and ground units continued to exploit weaknesses, using every resource at their disposal. The aliens, despite their technology and strength, were being pushed back by a species they had once considered insignificant. Harper, watching the progress, felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Humanity was alive, fighting with courage and intelligence that no alien could anticipate. The Zalarian Empire had met its match, not through strength alone, but through the unpredictable, relentless ingenuity of humans. And above all, Queen Zelara, who had once believed victory was certain, now understood a hard truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were unpredictable, resourceful, and unbreakable in spirit. The battle for Earth had reached a turning point, and the humans had proven that they could face even the greatest power in the galaxy and emerge not just alive, but stronger than ever. The battle had reached its climax. Queen Zelara's flagship, a massive biomechanical warship, loomed over the planet like a shadow of doom. Its energy weapons blazed, carving streaks of fire across the sky, while alien units swarmed cities and military outposts. Yet humanity had not only survived. They had adapted, learned, and begun to challenge the seemingly invincible Zalarian Empire. Dr. Elias Harper, coordinating the final assault, stood in a command center deep underground. Screens flickered with live feeds from around the world. Cities defended by civilians, engineers dismantling alien drones, pilots performing daring maneuvers, and resistance units setting traps that disabled alien reinforcements. Harper's mind raced as he synchronized the final plan. Every human resource, every ingenuity discovered in the months of conflict, would be used to strike at the heart of the Zalarian fleet. "Today we show them what humans are capable of," Harper said into the communication network, his voice calm but resolute. "We fight not because we must, but because we can. We fight for our families, our homes, and our planet. They expect fear. We will give them courage. They expect surrender. We will give them defiance. And they will learn what no one has ever learned before. Humans cannot be controlled." The assault began with coordinated strikes around the globe. Fighter jets armed with reverse-engineered alien weapons dove at warships, exploiting weaknesses discovered in previous battles. Ground units lured elite alien soldiers into traps, using terrain, explosives, and cunning diversions. Civilians assisted in ways no military manual could predict, rigging improvised defenses, guiding units, and even recovering disabled alien equipment for analysis and reuse. Humanity had turned the entire planet into a battlefield designed not for survival alone, but for victory. In the Nevada desert, a squad of pilots performed a daring maneuver, flying directly under the massive flagship. Using electromagnetic pulses derived from Harper's research, they disrupted the ship's shields long enough for ground units to strike key support structures. Explosions rocked the desert, and parts of the alien warship began to falter. Simultaneously, in Europe, engineers and soldiers infiltrated smaller vessels, planting devices that would spread a chain reaction across the fleet. Drones and human teams coordinated to disable critical systems, turning the Zalarian technology against itself. For the first time, Zelara's flagship was vulnerable, not just from the outside, but from the humans who had infiltrated her systems. Queen Zelara watched the chaos with disbelief. She had faced countless rebellions and defeated civilizations, yet here was a species that refused to be crushed, adapting faster than her elite units could respond. Every attack she had anticipated failed, and every strategy the humans used was both unexpected and effective. Her massive eyes, filled with both fury and awe, focused on the humans who had dared to challenge her directly. "This cannot be," she whispered. "They are stronger than I ever imagined." Her generals, who had always trusted her judgment, exchanged uneasy glances. The humans' resilience, ingenuity, and unity had transformed what should have been a swift conquest into a prolonged and increasingly desperate battle. Meanwhile, Harper and a small team prepared for the final strike. Using captured alien shuttles and knowledge gained from the probe, they planned to board Zelara's flagship directly. It was a dangerous mission. Failure meant total annihilation. Yet it was also humanity's greatest opportunity. If they could disable the flagship, the Zalarian forces would be thrown into chaos, and the planet could finally be free of the alien threat. The team approached the massive warship under the cover of human attacks. Energy beams streaked past, and the hull trembled with explosions, but Harper's team moved with precision, navigating corridors and avoiding alien sensors. Each step brought them closer to the core systems, where the ship's power and weapon networks converged. Inside the flagship, humans set devices that disrupted power flow, disabled weapons, and neutralized alien defenses. The ship shuddered violently, and energy beams faltered, giving surface forces the advantage they needed. Every city, every battlefield, and every community coordinated attacks to exploit these vulnerabilities, striking with synchronized precision that the aliens could not predict or counter. On the surface, human pilots executed daring dives and loops, drawing the attention of alien units while ground forces struck at critical targets. Civilians guided reinforcements, repaired damaged equipment, and managed logistics under fire. Humanity had transformed into a coordinated, unstoppable force, not because of superior technology alone, but because of courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination. Zelara, now fully aware of the threat, attempted to regain control. Her flagship's energy weapons roared, firing in sweeping arcs to destroy as many human units as possible. Yet every attack was countered. Traps, diversions, and unpredictable tactics forced her to expend more energy than she could sustain. Every step she took was matched by human ingenuity, every maneuver predicted and countered. As the battle reached its zenith, Harper's team reached the core of the flagship. They planted devices designed to collapse the ship's power grid, effectively neutralizing its weapons and mobility. The countdown began. Outside, human forces prepared for the moment when the alien juggernaut would falter. The anticipation was palpable, yet no one hesitated. This was humanity's chance to prove their strength against a civilization that had once seemed invincible. The devices detonated. Energy beams sputtered and failed. Systems overloaded and shut down. The flagship, the embodiment of Zalarian power, began to crumble. Zelara's units were thrown into chaos as human attacks exploited the breakdown, disabling ships, capturing units, and reclaiming the skies. Cities erupted in coordinated defense and counterattack, and the planet itself seemed to rise in unison against the alien threat. Zelara, witnessing the collapse of her flagship, could hardly comprehend what was happening. She had underestimated the humans at every stage. Their adaptability, creativity, and courage had turned her empire's strength against itself. Her eyes, once filled with arrogance, now reflected shock and disbelief. "Impossible," she whispered. "Humans, they are far stronger than I imagined." On the surface, humanity celebrated cautiously. The flagship's destruction did not mean the war was over, but it had shifted the balance irreversibly. Human forces pressed forward, capturing remaining alien units and repelling attacks with precision. Every community contributed to the effort, demonstrating that the human spirit was a force beyond measure. Harper, standing amidst the chaos, felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Humanity had faced the impossible and endured. They had turned fear into courage, weakness into ingenuity, and uncertainty into determination. The planet was safe for now, and the Zalarian Empire had learned a lesson that no technology could teach. The strength of a species is not measured solely by its weapons or numbers. but by its spirit, intelligence, and will to survive. Even as Zellara retreated with the remnants of her fleet, she knew that Earth had proven itself. The humans had not only survived, they had triumphed against one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. Her pride was wounded, her arrogance shattered, but her respect for humanity grew. She understood, perhaps for the first time, that there were species in the universe whose strength could not be judged by appearances alone. Across the planet, people emerged from their shelters and command centers. They helped the wounded, repaired damaged infrastructure, and shared stories of bravery and ingenuity. Communities that had once been ordinary had become extraordinary, bound together by a shared struggle and the knowledge that they had faced a challenge greater than any in history, and had prevailed. In Antarctica, Harper returned to the site of the original probe. It pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging humanity's victory. He stared at it, realizing that the journey had only begun. Humanity had survived the greatest threat it had ever faced, but the universe was vast and full of unknown dangers. Yet for the first time, he knew that humans could face any challenge. Their courage, ingenuity, and determination were forces as powerful as any technology or alien weapon. News of humanity's triumph spread quickly. Across the globe, people celebrated cautiously, knowing that while the war was won, the lessons endured. Humanity had proven that they were far stronger than any enemy could predict. The victory inspired scientists, engineers, soldiers, and civilians alike, igniting a new era of exploration, innovation, and unity. Queen Zellara, retreating into the depths of space, carried a grudging respect for the humans. Her empire had faced many species, but none like this. She whispered once more, almost in awe, "Impossible! Humans are far stronger than we imagined." It was not a defeat born of weakness, but a recognition that some strengths, resilience, ingenuity, courage, could not be overcome by force alone. And on Earth, life began to rebuild. Cities repaired, communities reconnected, and humanity looked to the stars with newfound confidence. They had survived the impossible, adapted to the unimaginable, and shown that even the smallest species could rise against the greatest threats. The battle for survival had become a story of triumph, and the human spirit, resilient and unyielding, had proven that no power in the galaxy could underestimate it. The humans had not only defended their world, they had defined it. Their ingenuity, courage, and unity had turned the tide against a seemingly invincible enemy. The victory was not just in surviving, but in proving that a species could rise above limitations, challenge destiny, and carve its own path in the cosmos. And so humanity emerged, battered but unbroken, victorious but humble, ready to face the future with a strength that no alien empire could ever ignore. They had shown the universe what it meant to be human, and in doing so had written a new chapter in the story of the stars, a chapter defined not by technology alone, but by spirit, courage, and the unyielding will to survive and thrive.